So I'm going to go to Google, and I did a Google search for disintegration brushes, and where I found the best brushes were on this page called Brush Easy. Now, you probably know that pretty much anything like brushes or things like that, you can just go on Google and find an example. You know, just write it in. You'll find hundreds of different examples. So they actually had one brush here that had exactly the effect that we were trying to do, and it's kind of cheating. And by the way, all of these effects are absolutely amazing for doing effects in Photoshop, doing stuff like this. So, you know, I really think that on a site like this, you can go through and say, hey, look at these cool brushes, and put them into your, you know, brushes folders on Photoshop, and you really will be able to create things really quickly. Okay, so let me try again. I'm going to do search for disintegration brushes. Yeah, here's what I found. Okay, so I'm not gonna, I'll attach the brushes that I'm using, but I think I use something like this guy. So basically all you do is download the brushes, and then you put it into your brushes folder. That's in your Adobe, wherever your Adobe Photoshop is located, there's a folder called presets, and then the brushes, and then you just download this and then put it into your brushes folder, okay? And then when it gets there, you just go to your brushes, and you can click up here, and you can do, I already have them here, but you can go up to this guy and do load brushes, and this one is called 20 disintegration brushes. And it's, you know, I did everything with these brushes, so if you just load those in, it'll put them right here. So let's take a look. And these are very high resolution brushes. I'm going to bring this in and just show you kind of what I do. Now, if we want to only show the particles over here, we're going to need to create a black alpha channel and then start painting white where we want the particles. So a very quick way to create a black alpha channel is to hit Alt on a PC and hit the alpha channel. And now you're going to have a black alpha channel. And now we can really kind of start. I mean, the bones, the real meat of this whole thing is done with these two different files. Okay, so I'm just going to start painting with white, and we'll see what we get. Well, that's pretty cool. It's not great. It's not perfect, but, you know, it's got the right color, kind of. I really don't like this ear color, this orange. But we can play with that. We can just go over here with a stamp tool, select with Alt over here, and we can just stamp tool that out. But that doesn't look very good. It looks very fake, that brush. So I'm going to delete that layer mask, and I'm going to put another one, Alt. And what I want to do with these brushes, so that they're not just, you know, over and over the same thing, which looks very fake, I'm going to go up and adjust. Well, actually, let me pick a different brush, because that one looks like it kind of has an end. If you look at the end there, it doesn't look like, you know, I'd rather have a brush that's a little more rounded off at the edges. Like, let's say this one. That looks a little bit better. Okay, now we've got that brush. We're going to go over to the brushes panel, and we're going to look at shape dynamics. And here's basically what we're, you know, every time you click it, it's going to basically be the same. So what we want to do is make it so it kind of jitters around, and you can see how that's changing over there. And I'm just going to make it so it jitters around every time you do it. And I don't want to change the size or anything, but just, okay, now let's try that. We're going to paint in white again, click. See, and every time I click, the brush is changing its angle. So it just looks a little bit more random, okay? Now, I don't want to work with this layer right now. I'm going to go ahead and work with the underlying layer. And I'm just going to, since this is already in a folder, I'm going to create an alpha channel, and I'm going to paint in, if I can get over here, I'm going to paint in black. And I'm just going to click. You don't want to drag, because if you drag, it'll look like this. Well, I changed the thing, but normally when you drag, it would just not look that good, okay? It would have like streaks. So I'm just going to click here slowly and just add some of these to the side of the guy's face. And, you know, it looks okay. It doesn't really look that great. One of the problems we're going to run into is if you look over on this side, we need to make sure that all of this area is completely disintegrated, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that brush and I'm going to hit the the left curly brackets and make it smaller. And we're going to constantly be going back and forth and making things smaller and bigger and smaller and bigger. Okay, so let's just kind of get rid of this side of the face. And because the background is white, we don't notice it so much. We don't notice that it's just an alpha channel. If we had a background, we would really have to worry about this. And you also want to keep in mind the idea that this is coming off of his face, you know? So it wouldn't just come off flat. It would come off different pieces at a time. And I just want to kind of get rid of this. You know, we can get rid of most of this side. You don't want to have any line on the side of his face. So we'll just get rid of all that. And because we're making this, you know, we're making it in such a way that we can come back and change these things whenever we want to. And a lot of this is about adjusting too. It's about coming back, making little changes here and there. Okay, there we go. So that looks okay. We're going to come back and adjust this later. So let's put this guy back on. All right. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's okay. So what we can do here is we can also start, we can add the little, you know, we want to make sure this is white. So let's start adding smaller particles. And, you know, to be honest, a lot of these tutorials kind of stop here. You know, they're like, okay, now we're done. And it just doesn't really look that great, you know. So what I would do is I would maybe go through here and, you know, make my brush a little bigger. Curly brackets right. And try to make it so there was almost like a little bit of a wave, or there was some sort of movement to the particles. So, okay, you can see this part's coming off.